Hello, you maltreated malt sippers from Malta. Oh, quite a malty malt mention, that one. And thank you to Andreas Nijeman for the malt mention, introducing Ralphie Review 953. Yeah, 953 whisky reviews. And we've got a lot more to get through, but all in good time. Let's focus on the whisky which I'm going to review for you today, which has recently come out in the market, and for particularly in the UK, for the malt hunters. And I'll do an extras on malt hunters sometime next year, because they're a fascinating breed of whisky drinker. This is a cask strength version of Bunnahabhain, and I'm reviewing it for you today because if you come across it in your travels, I'm going to recommend it to you. It is a substantial, delicious and quite eventful single malt whisky. Let's pour a glass and tell you all about it. Bunnahabhain and I, here it is, Bunnahabhain. We go back to the 1980s, we do. When I was first in a bar in Glasgow, I was drinking Younger's Number 3, which was a really nice ale at the time. Lovely flavour, my favourite. And I used to spend more time in bars in those days because I was a lot younger and that's what you do. And I don't regret a minute of it. Not a minute was wasted. Anyway, they had Bunnahabhain up on the gantry behind the bar, beside the Glenfiddich, and it was between the Glenfiddich and the Laphroaig, and it was a bar that attracted quite a few folk from the Highlands who had migrated to Glasgow to look for work, and these were my neighbours. These are the folk that lived around me in my little neighbourhood in Glasgow called Partick, and what a bunch of characters. Lovely people. Even the bad ones were lovely people. But this is Bunnahabhain cask strength 12-year-old bottled at, wait for it, you're going to love this, hold on to your bunnets, 56.6%, right? It says at the bottom here in little gold writing, it's got a little magic talisman spell here, which of course just entices me, likes me to go and buy this bottle. It says, give me a second, yeah, I need one of these. No added colour, non-chill filtered. This is the 2022 edition, by the way. I think it's one of the better editions, which is why I'm mentioning it now. What do you get on the nose? Well, let's start by saying you don't get any peat. And that may surprise you because this is an Islay distillery where some of the most peated whisky in the world is actually made. But not this version of Bunnahabhain. But you can get a version of Bunnahabhain which is heavily peated, and I'll be reviewing that sometime next year. Lovely stuff. Highly popular amongst the independent bottlers in a form called Stoisha. It's how you'll recognise amongst the independent bottlers. Peated Bunnahabhain is called Stoisha. Yeah, just giving you the information. Just spitting it out. But I better take a bit of time now. Let's give this a nose. Wonderful, full, aromatically malted sherry. It is a complex sherry monster. On the nose, first contact. What's amazing, for the high strength of this whisky at 56.6%, you're nosing something which doesn't have that fire in it that you would expect for the alcoholic strength. This immediately tells me that highly active casks have been used in the maturation of this whisky. And as soon as you get onto sipping it, onto the palate, that assumption is very quickly verified and backed up. Tiny drop. Crisp. Dry. Sour. Now a little bit of sweetness coming through. The sensation range in this whisky is amazing. The umami on first taste is absolutely popping. Sweet, sour, salt, savoury and bitter. Everything, every one of these sensations is assertively in this whisky for one simple reason. It's well matured and it's at cask strength. Simple as that. When you taste it, you're amazed at how palatable it is. Such is the richness of the casks, which, by the way, I can tell you right now, from my experience, are wet casks, because there's previous content of these sherry casks directly influencing this whisky in a quite profound and definitive way. And it doesn't hang around. It's a big explosion a soft explosion of flavour. So it's a slow motion explosion on the arrival, but the finish doesn't really come to much apart from a few loose tannins, some fresh brewed dark breakfast tea and a little bit of pickled ginger. You need to add water to this, and when you do, something spectacular is going to happen. I am adding a full teaspoon, 5 millilitres, full teaspoonful of water to this. And then, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to add a half a teaspoonful of water. That's another 2.5 millilitres. That's 7.5 millilitres. I've added almost, but not quite, a third of the volume to that whisky to bring it down. And something happens almost immediately. And I'm going to bring the glass forward so as you can see it. Look at that Scotch mist. Frankly, malt mates, that is spectacular. An absolute immediate endorsement on the quality of production. This has absolutely not been chill filtered. It's not just vague Scotch mist. It's not a mere hint of mist. This is absolutely full on turning cloudy. And that is just, in this day and age, at this moment in time, with the price of whisky, that, malt mates, is just what we're looking for. Authenticity, honesty, integrity of delivery for the price that we are prepared to pay. Let's come back to the nose again. Now we're getting a bit more of the Bunnahabhain signature, which is light, fruity, malty, slightly confectionery, sort of slight cherry medicinal cough mixture-y, very slight. But generally it's a substantial malty, soft flavoured whisky. That's how I first encountered Bunnahabhain back in the 1980s when I first moved into Glasgow and went to my local bar, just because for the only reason it was the one immediately down at the end of the road. So it was the least walking, should I say staggering distance to get home. Hey, it's logic. Taste. A much more tangy, malty arrival, turning sweet and sour, floral, the rose petals, dates, nutmeg, caramel, soft caramel, quality stuff, you know, not the high supermarket chocolates, caramel, the tasteless caramel. No. This is the real confectioner's high-end caramel flavour. Some really integrated spicy vanilla. There's a few green notes, slight mintiness, particularly as you go towards the end of the development towards the finish. The finish is lingering, soft tannins, quite syrupy. My opinion is there's a lot of previous cask content intermingled with this Bunnahabhain, and it hasn't done it any harm whatsoever. what in fact has happened, I don't think when they filled these sherry casks that they were quite empty, because the absolute strict definition of an empty cask is vague in the Scotch whisky industry. There you go. Boom, just giving you the knowledge there, just giving you the knowledge. Some distilleries absolutely clean out and rinse the casks, and others, they give them a wee slosh and say, no, a little bit left in previous content. Let's have a quick check and a sniff of the cask. Is it sound? Is it sweet? Right, fill it. And you can get amazing whisky from that. Absolutely amazing whisky. This, I mean, look at the Scotch mist in that here. I'm going to hold it even closer. You really need to see this. Look at that. Are we into focus yet? There we go. And it's natural colour. And it's absolutely, the vitality is just, it's helping to deliver a standard whisky in an exceptional way. There's no way you could get all this out of the 40% bottling from the old days. And even the 46% bottling that you get now, generally, most of the time, seriously good whisky. Seriously good whisky. Always in people's radars. But here, the cask strength version, it's just kicking it right out of the park. Word of warning, if you're just starting out in whisky, you might want to buy a bottle, but don't open it until you've spent about a year doing your time-served apprenticeship with Glenfiddich and Glenmorangie, getting your bearings, because to give to this someone for the first time is really going to be an assault on the senses. You need to acclimatise over time to appreciate and enjoy, and importantly, to get the most out of this single malt. Absolute wonderful stuff. Really, it's... And the thing is, it's a contradiction. Bunnahabhain has a gentle signature. And there's some gentle aspects to this. But the sheer intensity, there's nothing gentle about that. Nothing at all. You're getting an absolute original, authentic experience. Even for an old hack like myself that's been slurping whiskey for 40 years. You know, when I opened it, I had the first few glasses out of this, I really had that flicker of excitement, genuine excitement, which I generally find nowadays from independent bottlings. But there's official bottlings that are really getting it right, because they're keeping the faith with us. The informed, the discerning, the experienced whisky drinkers. So cheers, Bunnahabhain. Job well done. Mission accomplished. Highly recommended. In fact, I might as well give this a malt mark. A full integrity malt mark. As time goes on in the glass, the aromatics come out. You get a bit of Turkish delight, a bit of cherry, a bit of gooseberry, and then it changes again, and then you get this kind of mocha, coffee, chocolate mocha moment. You think, there's so much conversation in this glass. This is, yeah, it's a 90 out of 100 malt mates. It's a malt mark, an integrity malt mark. What an absolute joy. Now, if you want to pop back again for my extras, 953 extras, which will be coming along shortly, I will be talking about the shades of filtration. If you want to know any more, you're going to have to watch the video. The shades of filtration. It's basically, for those who are buying whisky on a regular basis, it's need to know information. In the meantime, for all of you who watched the online Scotch Whisky Awards hosted by myself and Roy from Aquavit, thank you so much for supporting the Oswis. Roy and I are absolutely delighted with the increased audience this year as people realise just how relevant and what a unique opportunity the OSWAs are, the Online Scotch Whisky Awards, in bringing the industry together as a communication corridor from the industry to the customers, to the repeat customers, to the regular customers, and back into the industry again. And we know from the feedback we're getting from industry people that they find it, the whole concept, really quite exciting and very refreshing. And if you haven't subscribed, by the way, please do. Just click that button to subscribe. Subscribe to Ralphie.com, because we're coming up to the end of the year. So I'm going to be telling you. I'm just going to be dropping all these fantastic whiskey selections right up to the 31st of December, and you wouldn't want to miss them, would you? And if you don't want to miss the extra content, the extras, the more of a deep dive, why don't you subscribe to my channel on Patreon? It's called Ralphie, R-A-L-F-Y. Cheers, malt mates.